Yeah, so that means actually that my name is Simon. Of course, we've been talking together, but mostly during Messenger, so, but very nice having you here. And that is my, oh,
Yeah, I'm
that
Henrik
side.
Storm, and me and Simon go way back. We've played Magic since 2004 and met each other on a crazy road trip. And yeah, we've just done the same thing ever since. Yeah, and now we do this.
Yeah. So the thing is that both me and Henrik, we're from Denmark, and we play mostly old school right now, which is the old cards. And in my search for getting my altars and stuff, I've have of course met some of you artists, and I thought this was a great opportunity to talk with you and hear a little bit about your side of the story. Oh, are you still with us? No, he disappeared.
It is magic, Simon. It
It
is magic.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least I'm not the only one who has sometimes trouble with the web.
Yeah.
Yeah. Det er fordi, der er for mange i rummet, Simon. Kan det
Jeg
være det?
tror det ikke. Men vi kan jo,
For hvis det er, så kan jeg jo bare gå ud.
vi kan jo lave det om til ikke widescreen.
I think that was much better.
It seems much better from my
Yeah,
point of view, at least.
yeah. Yeah, I think it's great now.
Yeah.
All good.
Perfect.
Yeah.
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 So, yeah. I don't know how much you heard of it, but yeah.
It was very choppy, so not too much.
Yeah. Um, as I said, we're both Magic players, and we play old school, primarily the cards from, yeah, 93, 94, the alpha betas. And
Yep.
we, of course, love the old cards and the feel they have, and also because, yeah, surely it's some kind of nostalgia because those were the first cards, and the cards we grew up with, So yeah, so that's why I'm here, and I, at least in Denmark, I do a lot for the old school scene, where we play Magic now.
Right.
Due to the coronavirus, we play it online, and I stream my matches and stream matches from the other players also, and we just, yeah, we have fun. And then the collector side of me are hunting for guys like you, the original artists, and have you make altars for me and stuff. But it's a sometimes it's a long journey. It's getting the right cards.
But
Sometimes you
that's
need.
the fun part.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
So I for one, I at least love it. The whole getting the cards and finding the artists, sending the cards, getting them back at some time, seeing the cards and thinking, wow, they are fucking amazing. It's yeah, I really love it. I
Yeah, and
remember,
we and also we go a lot to tournaments in Europe, and we were actually at Nebraska's War where we actually met you and got you to do some altars.
Right.
And I also think that that's a huge part of meeting you guys and talking to you and hearing your stories, because it also gives us players a more feel for the cards. Um,
yeah.
yeah,
Sure. Well, and we can do some of that here too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I prepared some questions. It's not real
Good.
questions, but it's like, who is Jeff Menges? You know.
No idea.
Yeah. Uh, you did some early work for Wizards because for me, of course, Wizards more or less started with Magic, but I also understand that they actually did many board games and even some card games before Magic. And
They well, technically, they worked on role-playing products.
yeah,
So they they didn't create board games before Magic because a board game costs a lot of money to upfront.
okay, yeah,
So the games they produced early on were books that you could use with any role-playing game, like
okay,
a book of gods or a book of settings,
yeah,
and and there were myself and a number of other early Magic artists who were doing black and white work for those books, black and white art.
yeah, okay,
And when it came time for them to do the card game, and they thought they could make it work, the first people they asked were the people who were doing artwork for them already, and that's how I got in on the first floor, so to speak.
yeah. Okay, yeah, because that explains a little bit about my second questions, how the artist was found. Oh, and we seem to have lost the connection again.
Oh, it's the back.
Okay, now it's back. So yeah, that leads to my second questions. How was the artist found? Because some of them were, of course, as you say, people from the company, but it must also have been other people. But when I look at it, it's mostly situated around Seattle.
Yeah, when they when the company started, I mean, they had no artists that were in the company. Every artist they worked with was a freelancer
Okay.
outside of the company. And Jesper Mirforest was their original art director, and he went to a school in the Seattle area. So when they started to get, like, we have 320 pieces of art that we need, and we need them like all this year, we've got to hire tons of different artists. But because the company was just starting, they couldn't offer a lot in the beginning.
Yeah.
So he reached out to his friends. He reached out to the people he knew from art school. And that was where the core group from Seattle came from.
Yeah.
The reason they found me was because I used to travel regularly. I live on the east coast of the United States, so 3,000 miles away from Seattle. But there was a big game convention that's still held today. It's a Gen Con. It's held today in Indianapolis, but used to be in Milwaukee. And when it was in Milwaukee, so I used to travel to Gen Con in the middle of the country, and they would travel because you had to be at Gen Con to do business in the game market.
Yeah.
It's sort of like Essen was
Okay. Yeah.
in Europe.
Yeah.
So some of the early people who were working for Wizards knew my work from other companies that they were in, and they saw my work at Gen Con. They liked what I was doing, and they said, "Hey, we want to get you involved in this card game." So that was 1992.
Okay. So you started
that summer.
making the art in '92 then.
Yeah, there's actually a couple of my cards that have a 1992 date on the painting.
Okay.
Not on the card, but on the painting.
Yeah.
I know War Mammoth is one of them.
Yeah.
War Mammoth and Bog Wraith and two others. But they were done very early, right after that summer. and Wizards used some of my images to promote the idea to investors.
Yeah.
So they would show them at events that they would have or places that they would go to try and get people. This is the idea of the kind of art is going to be on the card.
Yeah.
So I was
Cool.
involved really early.
Yeah. That is nice. That is nice. So, were you actually at Gen Con for the release of Magic?
Yes, I mean it came out at Origins, which was another convention. That was the first actual release. It was
Okay.
about a month before Gen Con in '93.
Yeah.
And then at Gen Con, I was there when the product started coming in and it was sold out on the first day. Um, and it was just creating a lot of buzz and excitement. Uh,
Yeah,
but it
I
was
could
hard to know
imagine.
even then. Okay, so what is it going to do? So every copy they could bring with them to Gen Con sold, but what is it going to do when it gets out into the world? That was the big question, and it did just fine.
Yeah, you can say that.
Hmm. Yeah. But yeah, for me it's like, yeah. So actually at Origin, yeah. And what about for me? Wizards gets a more like humane face on them when looking at the old cards because they have had these like the wrongly credited set stroll from Alpha, where you are on the card, but it's actually another artist who actually did the card, and also the
Yeah,
forgetfulness of the
it's
cards that they didn't print. To me, it seems like they're more a humane company than they are
uh,
now. Not saying anything
oh
bad about
yeah,
Wizards now.
probably.
Yeah,
Um,
and
yeah,
what
I
about?
did 15 for the alpha set, and there was one card with the Sedge Troll that was a Dan Fraser painting that had my credit on it.
Yeah,
So I did not paint the Sedge Troll for anybody who has never sorted that out.
yeah.
But occasionally somebody sends me one and asks me to paint my own troll on the picture so that the credit is actually correct.
The correct one. Yeah,
That's always kind of.
yeah.
Yeah,
I've
That
had a
is
few of
kind of
those.
cool. Yeah, having the actual Jeff Menges picture on it.
yeah,
That seems like a cool
Having a
idea.
Jeff Angus Sedge Troll, right?
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. That is cool. That is cool. What about you? Did you play Magic yourself? Do you know the rules or anything?
I did in the beginning. Um, I got into this because I was a gamer myself.
Okay. Yeah.
I played my earliest D&D in about 1980, spring of 1980,
Yeah.
and so I played Dungeons and Dragons for years. I played uh, the Fantasy Trip was another game system I used to play a lot of,
Yeah.
and the biggest problem with gaming in the 80s was that most of the artwork was not good. There was TSR who produced Dungeons and Dragons. They had a couple of really nice artists, but
Yeah.
most of it was very second rate
Yeah.
because the gaming industry didn't pay well.
Mm.
So I knew when I got out of art school that I could probably get work in gaming. And it didn't bother me because it was the kind of imagery I wanted to do. I just wanted to do it on paperbacks because that was where um, where you could get money doing fantasy artwork.
Yeah.
But no publisher would hire you to do a book cover until you did a book cover. It was, yeah, I got that all the time. Was after you do a couple, come back and we'll talk.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's a little
Um,
bit difficult then.
So going to Gen Con, right, the year after I got out of art school, I got a very big, important color painting in Dragon magazine.
Okay.
Um, and that was the beginning of getting work from the gaming industry.
Mm.
So I worked for Iron Crown and I worked for um, TSR and did work in Dungeon Magazine and Dragon Magazine and for TSR products as well. Uh, so I was very in the industry for a few years before Magic hit.
Yeah.
There's a couple of us. Doug Schuler was in about that same time, and so was Mark Poole. We used to see each other every year at Gen Con, and we were already in the industry and working regularly when Magic came into the building. And
Okay.
So
they asked so many artists to work on the game, and some said yes and some didn't. And a lot of the artists would say, I can't work for that rate. Come back after you're a real company, and then we'll talk.
yeah,
And for some of them, it was not a good move, and for some of them, they got in later.
yeah,
When there was big money.
yeah. But I can't stop thinking about. I've seen some of the on Netflix. I think the toys that made us. There's the background story
Yes,
with Star Wars and Masters of the Universe and Transformers, and it's always such a crazy story how everything started. And did you guys sit in a warehouse or in a basement and throw ideas at each other, or I can understand that you lived far away from the Seattle area. So were you part of a group, or did you correspond with each other, or what was the setup when you started with all this?
sure, sure. Um, yeah, I was not part of the initial creative team. Like they would create the ideas for cards and play test the cards before they put any art in connection with it. So when I got an assignment, the card was already all finished and thought out. They
Okay.
did, though, however, encourage you if you had an idea for a card, they wanted you to send it to them and they would consider it.
Mm,
But that ended very quickly because
Yeah.
for a lot of reasons. but but I'll tell you that when they in 1992 when they started giving out the assignments, we didn't get a big book of design elements that was all pre-thought out and how the kind of colors they wanted and the way that the climate should be. That's they get a style book like that when they do a new set now. But when
Yeah.
we did it, they wanted us to experiment with the art that we made, and they wanted like any direction that you wanted to go in, they would they would take a chance on it because they knew they couldn't pay a lot. They wanted you to have fun doing the work.
Yeah.
So that's why there's work like Quentin Hoover has a very comic book like graphic style. And my work has this kind of impressionist look. And there's everybody, Melissa Benson has a very unique look to her work. So everybody had their very wide personality in the art.
Yeah.
And later on, they narrowed that down so that all the art has a more similar feel. Now they're kind of playing with it. Now they're introducing all kinds of interesting images that are very different from what the rest of the game is like.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen those secret
They
layers.
just it took them a while. Oh, I love that stuff. I love the secret layer stuff.
Yeah. I would love for you to make
Bob
one of
Ross.
the art. Yeah, the Bob Ross lands. Yeah, they're awesome, you know. But also for like a throwback to the old times. Make some of the cards that, like you making one card in an old school like box or something. I think that would be awesome. Who wouldn't want that, with the old kind of feel? Just a name of the card, and then just do whatever you want, because that's
Right, that's how it was. They would call me and read a list, and the list was just titles, no colors, no powers, no abilities. All it was titles of the cards, and so they'd read grizzly bears. Yeah, I'll take that one, and they just go down, and I would write down anything that sounded vaguely interesting, and then I would go down, read the list back to him, and say, what do you want for this? What do you want for that? And the least amount they could tell you, that was what they wanted. They did not want to tell you anything about them.
yeah.
So if they said grizzly bears, like, I know what that is, they know what that is, they were like, okay, fine, you're good with that one. But
Yeah.
but Swords to Plowshares was a little different. They read that, and I wrote it on my list, and I read it back to them. I said, what do you want for that? Like, what is that gonna do? So they said, well, you're going to cast it on your opponent, and it will turn one of his fighting creatures into a non-fighting creature. Take away his military power.
Yeah.
So I thought about it for a minute, about the name of the card and about what they just said. And I was talking to Jesper on the phone at that time, because there was no internet then.
Yeah.
God, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And we used to have to fax in our sketches, and when the paintings were done, we had to ship them all to Wizards, because we had no scanners, no internet.
Yeah.
But yeah, they would. So he said, well, you're going to make this fighting creature not harmless again. So I thought about it, and I got that idea of, okay, it's Swords to Plowshares. Plowshares is farming. So I want to show this guy is a farmer now. He's a peasant farmer. But his military past is behind him. So literally, over his shoulder, there's a fortress castle that represents the military being behind him.
Oh.
And that's his past.
Yeah.
Cool.
So the little castle is just as important as the farmer is.
Yeah.
Oh.
It tells part of that story.
Simon and I always thought that it was the same picture as on Moat, just from a different angle.
Oh, well, I mean, Moat wasn't for a while later.
Yeah.
So I couldn't have guessed anything from.
Yeah.
But
That's cool.
When you made Moat, did you?
No,
you
I
think
wasn't
about-
thinking about the swords card.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that's actually quite funny because people don't know the
I-
backstory and they make their own story, just looking at the cards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's good. I like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, because we also looked at the card Water Elemental, and Simon and I talked about is the similarities to Swords to Plowshare and that one. Is it the same guy in the picture?
No, but they all look a little like me,
Yeah. Okay.
and that's because every artist knows their own face better than anybody else.
Yeah. Okay.
So you tend to paint people that are like yourself, because this is the face I see in the mirror every day.
Yeah.
So I know this nose. I like the beard. So my guys have a lot of beards. It's just the way I paint the characters.
Yeah.
A cool story behind it, because a lot of talks around is that we don't know all these things, so we just guess. Well, it's nice to have the
Right,
background story for it.
Yeah. And yeah, I also like the way that you paint your icy things, like the snow landscapes and the things. I really like the landscape pictures, to be honest. That's also, as you can see,
I loved working
yeah, I have my Cthulhu in the
on.
background. Yeah,
I loved working on Ice Age, and I loved working on Alliances, and that was something that when I did the Alpha set, there's a couple of paintings in my Alpha group that have snow in them. Like the War Mammoth has a snow scene, and the Bog Wraith is in the snow. And they kind of questioned that when I handed them in. They were like, "Well, what's with all the snow?" And I was like, "Well, I live in the north. The snow is part of my life. I don't think every card should be in the summertime, or so some could be fall and some could be winter.
yeah,
Seasons and seasonal change is very important to me. So I liked to have that balance in the cards, and I love painting snowscapes. I have a new one here for a different card game that I will preview with you guys if you want to see it.
Yeah,
oh
cool.
yeah.
Because I just happen to have it pretty. This is
Oh, that's nice.
this is a card for Sorcery Contested Realm. It's a new game coming out of New Zealand next year, and this is the whole card shape, and it'll have a text box down here, of course. And this is a Blizzard card, and I'll put this up on my Facebook page this week,
Yeah.
Cool.
so you can get a better look at it.
Yeah, that's nice.
Wow, I
But
like
yeah,
it
more
already.
Snow. You said
Yeah.
Blizzard, I was like, yes.
Yeah, I really like those cards. And then I actually, because I looked into you and saw some of the articles, and one guy said the original Black Knight painting, has that been found? And I looked around, I couldn't see any story about it,
Oh.
but
Oh, I don't know where it is. Um, that sold through a gallery very early on in the success of the game.
yeah,
There was a gallery that was affiliated with Wizards of the Coast. So they would take paintings from the artists and offer to sell them through the gallery, and you got a percentage of that sale. But anybody who wanted to buy original magic art could contact this gallery, and he had access to tons of it.
yeah,
So I sold maybe 3 pieces through his gallery, and one of them was the Black Knight. But galleries don't traditionally tell an artist who bought their paintings, because that removes their importance from the equation. If I sell a painting and then the gallery says, "Oh, well, this is the guy you sold it to," then I can start talking to him directly. I don't need the gallery anymore.
yeah,
But if I have to talk to the gallery, then the gallery's important, and they'll always get a piece.
yeah,
So there was a few aspects of Wolf, and the Black Knight and Scavenging Ghoul were all sold through the gallery. Now the aspect of Wolf showed up last year. It surfaced for the first time since I sold it. So I have
Okay.
a connection now to that one.
yeah,
And Scavenging Ghoul, I know the owner of that painting. He's very well known in the collector circles.
Yeah.
But nobody has ever come forward with the Black Knight or the information about it.
yeah. Okay.
So that one's
So we're
coming
still looking
this
for that one.
way.
Yeah. And when we have these cards, I know that you do altars because have had altars done by you. Most of my altars were done on site of a magic tournament, like the Grand Prix and stuff like this. But this was, of course, in Italy at the Nebraska's War, which I think is really nice because they have old school artists coming by, and you buy some time to be with the artist and have some stories and having some cards made. Is it possible, if I wanted more cards, can I just contact you directly, or how do I do that as a service to the people looking?
Sure. Yeah, I do alterations and we'll paint the backs of proofs as well through the mail. And the
Yeah.
best way to do that is to find me on Facebook. Um, Now, when you find Jeff Menges on Facebook, that's usually my profile. That's not the best place to reach me for magic questions. But if you look a tiny bit deeper, you'll see Jeff A. Menges backslash Scarecrow Graphics. And that is all of my art mail and all of my interest in magic that I post is always on there.
Okay.
Sometimes it leaks into my profile too, but my art is always on the Scarecrow Graphics Facebook page.
Yeah.
And if you contact me there, I check it every workday to see who's looking for something and what I need to make time for.
Yeah. Very nice. And do you still have any of the old art left, or like?
I do have.
Yeah, because when I see the new guys, they started doing the digital pictures, but then I see, oh, but now they're also doing like color proofs and stuff like this, or early sketches in hand, because then they can sell the sketch online. So like $2,000 or $3,000 for a sketch of a card, and I think,
Well, if you work digitally, it does not create an artifact,
yeah, yeah,
so you don't have anything to sell.
yeah,
So I think that the market is so healthy that most artists, even digital ones, want to get a part of that.
yeah,
I've always, uh, I prefer to paint. I've always preferred to paint. When I went through art school in the mid '80s, there was no digital art in school. I was the last illustration class to get through my university schooling with no computers. The
yeah.
next year, they started to do computer work.
Okay.
Um, and then when I got a day job, when I got a job to put the roof over my head, that job was all computer based.
Yeah.
So I would work on the computer all day. I didn't want to come home and work on the computer again at night.
No. Yeah, I can
So I
understand
stayed
that.
with traditional media.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've always preferred the paint.
Yeah.
I do still own about 8 of my magic pieces, and
Okay.
one of them I still own. This is the sea serpent. I still own the sea serpent from
Yeah.
Alpha.
And it's very nice. I like that one also.
I
It
own
has, yeah, very nice. Because as time goes by, they get more and more, yeah, expensive. So I think it's very nice that
That's
you,
crazy now.
yeah, you didn't sell them in
Yeah.
the beginning where they weren't so much worth, and now when you see like the original art being sold and it's very expensive, and the artist gets nothing of that, you know. So I think it's very nice that you actually have some art
Most of the
left.
time, yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's very
Yeah.
nice. I'm
It's
really happy for you there. And now that it's been, like 27 years, do you still paint magic cards, altar cards daily or weekly, or is it still something that's in your life?
Well, I used to only do it. Yeah, I used to only do it at events
Yeah.
like Nebraska's War or Gen Con or tournament. Um, so I would travel to a show like that once a month, and I would have fun for that weekend, and then I would go back to my regular job and uh, and do freelance work when it was presented to me.
Yeah.
But recently, in this past year, I've moved. I I left my job in the city and bought a big house in the country, big old farm, which I'm spending way too much time working on. But
Yeah.
it also takes a lot of money, so I have to come up with some way to make money. And doing the altars and the proof cards is a big way to help that along. Let's see. Let me see what I got here. Here's a good example of some recent work. That's a card that somebody sent me, a blank card. Wanted a moat piece on that.
Yeah.
Seems I've knocked a few things over. Here's a championship card.
Yeah.
Okay, so I made a moat proxy card.
Oh,
Very nice.
Okay, so put in all the writing and the signs and the artwork. So, and this is somebody that was with you guys at Nebraska's War that I'm working with.
Yeah.
To get these through the mail.
yeah.
That is very nice. I really love that.
So that's my regular work day now.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do a lot of that stuff. The last couple of months, anyway.
Yeah. And I saw the altar that you did for LobsterCom. The divine offering with the lobster on it.
Well, I've done a lot. I did a lot of work for LobsterCon.
Yeah.
That's kind of my local group, my local old school group.
Yeah.
I did some work with Sisters of the Flame, as the New York-based group. So when I was in New York, I corresponded with them somewhat. And but now I'm up in New England, which is the northeasternmost part of the United States. And so NEOS is New England Old School, and I'm a good friend of that group. They very much support my work and what I do. And I love going to LobsterCon. I had a great time there when I was there. It was, and even when I couldn't make it for one reason or another, I've still helped them out with some of the prize cards and done some altars for them for those kinds of things.
Yeah, I think
that's a really good group of folks.
Yeah, I loved their LobsterCom where they actually did the old school online where they almost had. I think they gave away $10,000 for charity. I think it was like a crazy amount,
Yeah.
So
charity's a big part of that group.
Yeah, and then seeing your artwork there at the altars, and I'm like, okay, I have to be a part of this, So I really like that.
And lobster is really good.
Yeah, the seafood. We're hoping to go there someday also. So that would be nice with my group. So,
isn't it a bit special that you actually get to meet guys like us through your artwork so many years since you made it? Because I think if you think about people who also did some thing like Masters of the Universe and the Star Wars toy lines, they don't really get to interact in the same way with their fans. And I think that's something very special with
for the most
Magic,
part,
that you get to do this.
It is. It's the closest thing you can compare it to is comic books, because there are comic book artists who, if they were fortunate enough to work with a character who has longevity, like if you worked on Spider-Man in 1992, you could go to a convention today and still have people that would want to talk to you, just like working on Magic.
Yeah.
But that's a big statement as to how popular Magic has become.
Yeah.
Because there's almost no other game that could say that. So I feel very fortunate that I put myself in the right place to make those things happen and line up.
Yeah.
And it's given me something very special to work with my whole life.
Yeah. Yeah. We love it. That's for sure. Then I have a question from one of the viewers. We saw you with the Blizzard artwork for the Sorcery Contested Realms. Will you also be getting like the artist proof cards for those and stuff, so that you'll be making? Yeah. Okay, that sounds cool. Yeah, I have to look into what that game is, because I also saw, I think it was Melissa Benson who did that.
maybe a few more,
Yeah.
but I think we're getting at least 30 of each card. That
Okay.
might be the agreement.
Yeah. Very
So
nice.
now I have 18 cards in the first group, which is more than I did for Magic. Uh,
Yeah.
so that's that's a lot of proof cards when you're talking about 30 of them. So
Yeah.
uh, that should be something fun to explore when that comes out in a couple of months.
Yeah. Yeah. I hope it goes well. So,
Yeah.
um, many of the other artists, they're doing like the tokens and stuff. Are you also doing like things that we can buy from you?
I have done some tokens, um, like private tokens, but I've done them through a friend who was producing them by a number of different artists. I haven't produced any myself.
Yeah.
Like a lot of artists produce their own token line, and I haven't done that.
Yeah.
Um, but it might be something I have to look into now. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have a few. I have a few playmats. Uh, so I have 4 playmats that I sell currently. I sell playmats of swords, Bazaar of Baghdad, Thawing Glaciers from Alliances,
Okay.
and Moat.
Yeah.
So I have playmats of those 4 that I sell. I do sell the tokens, but you can also get them through the gent who does them for me, and his outfit is called Give Me Mana, and
Okay.
that's what's on the back of the cards. And I've done a number, probably about 10 or 12 different tokens that he has available.
Yeah.
And then there's the book.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. We haven't even touched the subject of the magic book. You know. Yeah.
Right.
I
So
was.
the 20th anniversary. Well, do you have a question about it?
I was too late for it because it was like it would have been awesome the first time you meet people, have them sign the stuff and make a little like squiggle on it, but I was too late.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Why too late?
Oh, you still have some?
This is the book that we're talking about.
Yeah. It
So we
was
still
a
have some.
it was a
So
Kickstarter project. Yeah.
yeah, it was so it was the 20th anniversary of the game in 2013, and we so it was 20 years after the game had been out. Wizards was not working with anybody from the beginning at that time. Maybe Rob Alexander might have done a card or two still with them. He might have been the only one.
Hmm.
And most of us had not talked to each other too much at that time. But so we were all wondering if Wizards was going to do something for the 20th anniversary. And it was coming up in a year, and we had heard nothing. And we came to the conclusion that they were going to do nothing about it.
Yeah.
So we said, this is it's a missed opportunity, and we could use something to connect with the past again, connect with all the work we did in the beginning. And I was talking with Brian Wackowitz, who started working on the game for Legends. We were at a small convention together in Philadelphia. Well, that's actually, I was in Philadelphia for a convention. He lived in Philadelphia, and he has an airbrush shop where he does custom work there. So I've known Brian for a long time, and I said, I want to come down and see your shop. And he said, sure. And so he told me where to come in the city, and I met him down there, and he closed the shop early, and we went to dinner. And we shared a bottle of wine, and so ideas were flowing really well. And
Yeah.
we talked about doing a book, the 20th anniversary book idea, because I was in publishing. That was my day job, was to do book cover design. And he knew a half a dozen old magic artists pretty well, and I knew a half a dozen. And we knew if everybody we talked to knew a few, we could kind of reconnect and get the old band back together again, sort of.
Yeah.
So that's what we did. We went home after that weekend, and I started emailing everybody I knew. Said, "Do you know anybody else that's from the beginning, from the first 2 years of the project, first 2 years of Magic?" That was what we figured. And there were 49 artists who worked in the first 2 years of the game, including Faye Jones, who did one, Michael Whalen, who did one. There were 49 artists in the beginning. Up to, I think that's Alpha through Fallen Empires, I think.
Yeah.
So we tried to get in touch with all those people, and the people we didn't know, we tried to look them up. We tried to find traces of if we could contact them and if they were still in the business. Some of them, now, Wizards thought that we would never be able to get this big of a group together. And I spoke to them actually at some point. I went, when we announced the book at Emerald City Comic Con in 2013, we announced the whole idea of the project and explained it to a bunch of people at a convention. And I met with Wizards when I was out there at the convention. And they were like, "Well, do you think you'll be able to get 25 artists together? Because that would be unbelievable." And I said, "Well, we've got like 35 now, and we think we can get a few more." And they couldn't believe that we were able to do that, to get that many people involved again. And basically the book is every artist who contributed got a spread. I'm going to show you Richard Thomas's spread here. And what I asked of them was to tell me a bit of a story about what Magic meant to them, like how it changed what they did or what it meant to their career. But it was very open. I tried to give everybody a lot of freedom about it. And everybody was able to pick one card that they felt was a card that the fans would identify with, and then do something new. And most artists created something special just for the book. There were a couple that didn't have time to create anything new, but wanted to contribute something. So, like Quentin's pieces. Quentin was very excited about the book project, actually. Unfortunately, we all know that Quentin met an early fate and passed away before the book was released. But he was very excited about what we were doing in the book, and he gave us 2 images to put in the book that hadn't been previously published. So that was just fine by us. We were so happy to have him be part of the project, and the book is dedicated to him as a result of his untimely passing.
Yeah.
But that was a huge undertaking, and it pretty much removed me from freelance illustration for a year while I created that whole project and generated it and sent it out. And yeah, it was a lot of work.
Yeah, I could imagine.
5,000 copies. Yeah. So there was a hardcover and a soft cover, and then there was a collector's edition as well. And the collector's edition is pretty much all gone. But I still have a few boxes of hardcovers left and quite a few boxes of soft covers left.
Okay.
Now,
then I'll order one immediately.
The website for the book. Huh?
Then I'll order one immediately.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, the website for the book is not as well connected as it once was. So I don't recommend that anybody who's looking for a copy go to the website, nor do I recommend that you go to Amazon to get one, because you don't know for sure who that will be coming from. But if you contact me, I can tell you if one's available and I can get it to you. And I'll sign my name in the book for no extra cost for
that's
anybody who wants
cool.
it. So
Yeah,
That's
nice.
cool.
Yeah, they're asking the
yeah, the book's
questions.
a big.
Yeah, are you gonna make a 30th anniversary book?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah,
It. I don't think it would be different enough. Um, it was very challenging to work with 41 different artists. In the end, we were able to get 41 of those first 49 artists are represented in the book.
yeah,
And it's a lot of different personalities to work with. And some of them were easy to work with and some of them were not. Um,
yeah.
I will call all of them friends, but I don't want to repeat that year that it took me to get that book out.
Yeah, fair enough. Um, what else? Yeah, some of the other artists have created their own take on some of the iconic Magic cards. Is there any plans for you to create a set of like the Moxen or Lotus or the whole Power 9 or anything?
I hadn't given it any thought, actually. But if I was to do it myself, I would create basic lands. I would love to do my own basic land cards.
Yeah,
Uh, just because that's more of who I am. I want to do a forest scene and a mountain scene. Um, I know that the players are interested in the mocks, and especially the old school players are interested in the mocks, but I'm not drawn to the idea of painting a gemstone. I'm drawn to the idea of painting a forest or a mountain.
yeah,
So that would interest me more. But if the right opportunity came up, I wouldn't say no. I would definitely be interested in trying it.
yeah, yeah. You should do the snow-covered lands. They would be awesome, for sure. Yeah.
Well, we're expecting a foot of snow this week, so we'll see how that works out.
Very good inspiration, at least.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. Um, I don't actually have so many more questions, and I think we've had a very good discussion and a very good talk. Um, the last thing that we normally ask me and Henrik is your favorite card and why. It actually doesn't have to be one of your own cards, but it could be any favorite card and why.
Okay, I can answer both those questions.
Oh.
Um, so, my favorite magic card that I painted is the Sentinel Druid from Antiquities. Now, that's one that I still own. I wish I had thought to drag it out, but because of my recent move, a lot of my stuff is not as handy as it usually is.
Yeah.
But the Sentinel Druid is I like Druid characters. I like wizards who are involved with nature. When I played in Dungeons and Dragons, I played a lot of Druids. So when they assigned me to do this Druid card, which actually was not called the Sentinel Druid when they assigned it to me, it was called the Degas Druid.
Okay.
And when Antiquities came out, it said Sentinel. I was like, what the heck is that supposed to mean? And they explained it's Sentinel is lunatic spelled backwards. So I don't know
Yeah.
if maybe it was doing crazy things to them when they were testing it. So, Highland.
Yeah. The lunatic druid. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that painting, to me, is a painting where I got really close to the vision in my head, and I still to this day when I look at it, I'm very satisfied with that painting. So
Yeah.
it means a lot to me, and I love that image. The favorite card of somebody else is a crazy thing to ask because of how much there is out there. But But just to name one that I always have had a thing for, um, Ron Spencer did a card in the Dark called Miracle Worker, which is this kind of guy in a. He almost looks like he's wearing a superhero costume, and he's holding an artifact that looks like it's broken off to the side. He's got a blindfold on. It's a really progressive looking, but little abstract. It feels like a Roger Dean painting to me. Roger Dean is the artist who did all the Yes uh, album covers, and Miracle Worker has a little bit of that feel in my mind, and that was a very influential artist in my early work. So maybe that connection with Roger Dean in my mind made me connect more with that image in Magic. But I always
Yeah.
liked that piece, and that was just one of 100 for sure. We could probably spend another hour, and I can
Yeah.
talk to you about what I like in different things.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
really like the
but
Ron
the
Spencer
artists who
art.
work today,
Yeah.
I'm always impressed with Ron's work.
Yeah. And I think that
He's never let me down. He's
yeah, he has the
always
it's
doing great stuff.
it's a little bit special that he has the box around the picture. If you look at the card, then there's like a small box around it. It's also the one with the elf where it's doing
Okay,
the spider things. It also has like this extra box around the art, which really makes it like framing. I like that.
Mm.
right. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Then I think it is this. I will put this up also on YouTube and put in your links on the YouTube
okay,
channel so that people can actually go from there into. And I'll try to find your Facebook pages so that I can link them directly, so that we hopefully generate some more traffic for you. Um, other
sure.
than
Thanks.
this,
That'd be great.
yeah,
Yeah, the
uh,
Scarecrow page. I'll send you the link directly, so I'm sure you have it.
yeah.
Um, anything else you guys wanted to ask?
I don't have so many more questions right now because yeah, all the
There
things.
was there
Yeah,
was one of the audiences who said that you had the Black Knight and you didn't do the White Knight, but did you guys talk to each other about the idea for the two knights, or did you just make one each and never
Okay, that's
talked
a good
about it?
question. We no, I never talked to Dan about it. What happened there was they talked to me earlier than they talked to Dan, and when they read down that list of cards they needed, they said I could do the White Knight and the Black Knight, but the White Knight didn't interest me. I mean, it's very hard to conceive of, like, we didn't have any idea what this game was going to be like. So if we had had an idea, I would have said, yes, the pair would be great. Have the Black Knight and the White Knight and do them both would be the way to
Mm.
go. But painting a Black Knight, somebody who was gritty and dark and maybe a little on the evil side, was far more interesting to me to paint than a White Knight who you see as being holy and shining and good. uh, didn't interest me to paint.
Mm.
So I said, I'll do the Black Knight, but I don't want to do the White Knight. You can give that to somebody else. So, and Dan Jellin wound up with it,
Yeah.
and but we never. I didn't know that he had it until the game came out, and we didn't talk until the game came out. So
yeah,
there's a really strange story about me and Dan Jellin, actually, that is really weird. We grew up very close to each other and never knew each other.
Oh.
He lived. We both lived in New Jersey in our teen years, and I was once talking to Dan at dinner one night about the places we used to go when we were kids that he went to and I went to, and it was very strange that we never knew each other.
Yeah.
And one was there was an old movie theater that we both used to go to, and I told him when The Empire Strikes Back came out. So when was that? 1979, 1980? I don't know, when did that come out? No, 81 or 2, I think.
Yeah.
Empire Strikes Back came out. I said I cut out of school and went to see the first show at the movie theater that we both knew. And he said, so did I. He was at the same show with me. So we were in the same room for Empire Strikes Back and didn't know.
Yeah.
That's a great story.
That is cool.
Yeah.
That is nice. And now, since I live in Europe, I will order the book from you. Will you ship it overseas? No problems? Oh, sweet. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Well, I can, but as you know, it's expensive.
Yeah.
Because books are heavy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I will ship it overseas, but you have to understand it will probably cost you as much for the shipping as it will for the book.
Yeah. But having your signature on it helps.
So,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
The other thing I recommend to people who want playmats, I don't sell one playmat to somebody overseas. But if you want 3 that I can sell together, that's worth it for me to ship it. So
Yeah.
I tell people, talk to your friends, see if you can get a couple of people together and do one bigger package instead of 3 small ones.
Yeah.
And that's not so bad on shipping if you split the shipping, and it makes it smarter for me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but if you want one and you want to pay for it, I'll ship it.
I'll ask the Danish guys, and then they can just talk to me, and I'll sell a
Yeah.
full order.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Perfect. Yeah. Okay. Then I think that's it, Jeff. Yeah.
Yeah, and thank you very much for the stories, and it's just cool to sit and listen to all these coincidences that made something so special happen. Yeah.
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 Well, thank you both for having me on the show, and I'd be happy to do it again if you ever find a reason to. Maybe after Contested Realm comes out.
Yeah.
You want to talk about that?
Yeah, that would
Because
be cool.
there are a number of old school artists in that game. They wanted all the art to be hand painted. They wanted no digital art in the
Okay.
game.
Yeah.
So
That could be
So
cool.
Melissa Benson has work in the game, and Drew Tucker has work in the game, and myself, and there might be a few other early artists, but it's an interesting group and looks very cool so far. So I'm
Yeah.
excited about it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so nice. I like that. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
Thank you very
great to
much.
see you both, and please, I'll send you my Facebook links. Please
Yeah.
send me when you get the YouTube link, and I'll put it on my page as well.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
Very good. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
thank you
All right.
very much, my friend.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Simon. Nice meeting you, Henrik.
Yeah.
Bye bye.
Bye.